I'd like to talk to you today about the use of a capo in worship, or as our British friends call them, capos. I prefer the use of the Kaiser capo. It clips on nicely onto my headstock when I'm not using it, and then I could basically move it from fret to fret wherever I want to use it, and then put it right back onto my headstock. I'm actually going to do a second capo tips video that goes over a few different capos. I happen to have several of them, so I can give you my opinion of what works best. But before I get into how to choose a capo, I'd like to just tell you why to use a capo. Basically, there's in a worship setting, there's really two reasons to use a capo. The first reason is if you're playing songs that are not, say, guitar friendly. Many of the songs that we use in worship, especially older songs, hymns, songs written 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, many of those songs were written with a keyboard and or a piano, and for the most part, the keys that piano players enjoy playing in because they're easier for them aren't always easy for guitar players to use. And so if you're playing with someone that loves playing in C, F, B flat, those are keys that not every guitar player loves to play in. Of course, we can adjust and we can start using a lot of bar chords and all, but that's the purpose of the capo. It could change your guitar into, it could play a constant bar chord for you, if you will, so that you can play in different keys. For example, let's take the key of F. Obviously, the key of F is all bars. It's F, it's B flat, C you can get away with, G minor. There's a lot of bar chords when it comes to playing in the key of F. However, if you take your capo and you place it on the 3rd fret, now your D forms become F. So yes, this is a little thinner chord because it's a 4-string chord, but now that's an F instead of a D, even though I'm forming a D. And now my A is a C, my G is a B flat. So right there, I have it's a lot easier for me to play those play those chords, and especially if I'm singing and I'm leading worship, I don't want to be looking down at my fingers to make sure I'm on the right frets. So it just makes it a lot easier when you're playing songs like that. And maybe you're not playing with a keyboard player, but maybe you just like to sing in the key of F. And so therefore, instead of retuning your guitar to some crazy, a tuning, throw a capo on it, and all of a sudden you're playing in the key of F. And that works for a lot of different keys. You can move it up to the 5th fret, and now when you play your G forms, you're actually playing in the key of C. There's a real popular song, How He Loves, and that song, if you play it up in this register, it just is a little brighter. It just it almost has like a mandolin sound. And that's just all G forms, but I'm actually playing in the key of C. The other reason that you would use a capo in a worship setting is if there's a couple guitar players. I have an electric guitar player in my band, and I'm always trying to get him to play higher on the register, up on the fretboard a little bit to give us a little different sound. Instead of him strumming along on the lower part of the neck, and us both playing the same thing. But there are times when I'll throw a capo on and I'll be up on the register, and I don't mind when he's in the lower area of the fretboard. But it's really nice if you have a couple acoustic guitars. I know a lot of people do kind of an unplugged worship in a little smaller setting, smaller groups, or just that's the way you prefer to do it at your church. And you've got a couple guitar players. Instead of everyone playing those big wide open chords, like for example, the key of G. If everyone's playing, I mean, that could get a little boring or a little monotonous. My friend David Jones says, you know, you don't want to become a member of the Department of Redundancy department. You know, so, you know, if one player's playing in the lower register, it's not a bad idea for someone throw a capo on. So say someone is playing those low forms in the G. If I throw the capo on the fifth fret, now my D forms become the key of G. So I can be playing that while the other person's playing the open chords. It just gives it a little different flavor, a little different sounds, makes it a little more interesting. So that's the purpose of the capo. I was reluctant to use the capo for a long time. I felt like it was cheating. I played with some really good keyboard players, and they kind of frowned upon the use of a capo. And you know, and then one day I saw James Taylor using a capo and just sliding it up the fret as the band was modulating, and I realized, you know what, it just makes sense, especially if I'm leading. Sure, if I was sitting in the back doing some fills and just, you know, playing the guitar on a worship band, I may not use the capo as much. But as the worship leader and as someone that has to be singing and staying focused on where we're going, I'll tell you, it's made my job a lot easier using the capo. And again, that's not the only reason to use it, but that's the main reason that I'm using it. And I would encourage you to invest in a capo. Look at my next tip on choosing capo, because there's a lot of them out there. And I pray that helps you out. Keep stopping back to wallsofgrace.com for more worship leading tips. God bless you.